Okay, so let's just get right into it. There's this idea we hear all the time,
Yeah.
this relentless focus on hard work and grinding to get to the top.
Right.
But the real insight here, and it's a big one, is
Uh-huh.
that success is maybe less about sheer effort and more about alignment.
That is the critical shift.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not just about how hard you pedal, it's whether you're, pedaling uphill or downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And if your habits align with who you are naturally, they stop being this thing you have to force. They just become what you do. It's easier, it's more satisfying, and most importantly, it actually sticks.
And the example used to really hammer this home is it is physically stunning. We're talking about two absolute legends, Michael Phelps,
The swimmer.
the swimmer,
Ugh.
stands 6'4", and then Hitchem El Garouge, maybe the greatest middle distance runner ever.
Who is what, 5'9"?
5'9", so you'd think, completely different bodies.
You would, but here's the crazy part. Despite that 7-inch height difference, they were the exact same length in seam.
That fact is just,
Yeah.
it's amazing. How does that even work?
It's the perfect picture of natural alignment, right? Phelps has these relatively short legs, but a super long torso.
Yeah.
That build is like a biological design for swimming. It gives him this incredible pull through the water and minimizes drag.
And El Garouge?
The total opposite. Incredibly long legs, short upper body, maximum stride length with almost no wasted mass up top. I mean, he's basically built to just glide over the ground.
So if you made them switch sports,
Yeah.
it wouldn't just be that they'd be bad at it.
Oh, they would fail.
Yeah.
Miserably. At an elite level, it's a non-starter.
Why?
Well, Phelps weighs 194 pounds. That's a massive amount of weight to carry for a distance runner.
Right?
It's a curse. Every single step costs more energy. And El Garouge, for all his talent, just doesn't have the height, the wingspan, the long back that an Olympic swimmer needs for that reach and power.
So a strength in one game is a weakness in another.
Yeah.
The environment is what decides.
Exactly. And that's where we bring it back to our lives. We're not all chasing gold medals, but we are all trying to play to our strengths in our careers, in our habits. And we have to start by accepting this paradox about our genes.
That they're fixed, but they don't define your destiny.
Right. I think Gabor Maté said it perfectly. Genes can predispose, but they don't predetermine.
So they're a map of potential, not a prism.
Exactly. They just show you your areas of opportunity, where the game is tilted in your favor. But, this is where a lot of people get uncomfortable.
The whole biological determinism fear.
Yeah. People get worried that if we admit we're born different, it's an excuse to give up, or that it justifies things being unfair.
But that's a misunderstanding of the idea.
A huge misunderstanding. I mean, behavioral geneticists have shown that basically every trait you can think of, from how you handle stress to how outgoing you are, is influenced by your genes. It doesn't mean you stop working. It just means you stop working against yourself.
Okay, so if we accept that, if we lean into our nature, where do we even begin to map that out?
You start with personality. It's the most practical, hands-on expression of your biology. And the best framework we have for that is the Big Five. Understanding where you fall on these spectrums it's step one.
Okay, let's go through them. The first is openness to experience.
Right. This is a spectrum. On one end, you have people who are super curious, inventive.
They love new things.
They love new things. On the other end, you have people who are more cautious. They prefer consistency, routine. And you can see how that affects habits.
Yeah, a high openness person might love trying a radical new workout every month. A low openness person would find that incredibly stressful.
And they'd quit. They need gradual changes. Next up is conscientiousness.
This one feels huge for habits. It's organized and efficient versus easygoing and spontaneous.
It's massive. If you're naturally high in conscientiousness, you love order. For you, cleaning your desk or updating a spreadsheet is genuinely satisfying.
But if you're on the lower end,
Which a lot of really creative, successful people are, forcing yourself into a super rigid, color-coded routine is just going to feel awful every single day.
so what's the move then? If you're low in conscientiousness, you don't just give up on being organized.
No, of course not. You just play the game differently. You lean more heavily on environment design.
Meaning?
You don't try to become a more organized person internally. You make your external world do the organizing for you. You lay out your gym clothes the night before. You put the healthy food right at the front of the fridge. You make the good habit the path of least resistance.
You outsource the order.
Mm.
I like that. Okay, we have extroversion.
Yeah, the energy spectrum. Outgoing and energetic versus solitary and reserved. This one's pretty straightforward.
An extrovert might love a big group fitness class.
And find it super motivating. An introvert would probably find it draining and would much rather go for a run alone or read a book to recharge. It affects everything.
And the last two have these really interesting biological links. Let's start with agreeableness.
This is your friendly and compassionate side versus your more challenging, detached side. And what's fascinating is that people high in agreeableness tend to have higher levels of oxytocin.
Bonding hormone.
Exactly. They're biologically sort of wired for harmony. So a habit like volunteering or writing thank you notes will feel much more natural and rewarding to them.
And the last one, neuroticism. Anxious and sensitive versus calm and stable.
Hmm.
You mentioned this is tied to the amygdala.
Right. Think of it like the brain's threat detector. For people high in neuroticism, that detector is hypersensitive. It's like a smoke alarm that goes off when you're just making toast.
So starting a new business or even just a big new habit feels genuinely terrifying on a biological level.
It triggers a huge internal alarm. So the key isn't to say neuroticism is bad. It's to say that if you're high in it, you should build routines that create stability and security first, not ones that constantly push you into high-stakes situations.
So at the end of the day, it's about building habits that work for your personality.
Mm.
You don't have to do the trendy low-carb diet if it makes you miserable.
Exactly. If you want to read more, but you love trashy novels instead of, dense nonfiction, read the trashy novels. The goal is to find the version of the habit that brings you joy, because that's what makes it consistent.
That makes so much sense. So, okay, personality is our internal compass. But then there's the bigger question. How do we find the right environment, the right game to play, without just wasting years on trial and error?
That's where you need a strategy. And the best one is called the explore-exploit trade-off.
Okay, break that down.
When you start anything new, a career, a hobby, anything, you have to begin with a period of exploration. You cast a wide net.
Like trying different classes in college or a company split testing different ads?
Precisely. You're just gathering data. You're figuring out what works, what gets results, and, crucially, what you actually enjoy. But the moment you find something that's clearly working better than everything else, you shift.
You shift to exploitation.
You exploit, you double down, you specialize, you focus on that winning strategy.
But I guess the tricky part is you can't just exploit forever, right? You'd stagnate.
You can't. And this is the nuance that people miss. Even when you're winning, you have to keep a little bit of your effort in exploration mode.
What's the right ratio?
A good rule of thumb is about 80 to 90% exploit and 10 to 20% explore. Think about Google's famous 20% time. That was pure exploration. And it gave us things like Gmail and AdWords.
So massive wins came from that dedicated exploration budget.
Massive. But the balance also really depends on your situation.
How so?
Well, if you're winning, really winning, you exploit, exploit, exploit. The risk of changing things is too high.
But if you're losing,
You have to do the opposite. You explore, explore, explore. You have to change something, the strategy, the environment, the game itself, until you find a new edge.
and I guess time plays a role too. Early in your career, you should explore more.
Exactly. You have more time to capitalize on what you discover. If you're on a tight deadline, you have to exploit the best solution you've got right now. No time for experiments.
Okay, so to make that exploration phase really count, we need to be asking ourselves the right questions. And there are 4 really good ones here. The first is fantastic. What feels like fun to me, but work to others?
I love this question because it gets past this idea that you have to love every single second of your work.
Right. Every job has parts that are a grind.
Of course. But the sign that you're in the right place is that you can handle the pain of that grind easier than most people. Maybe you're the one who enjoys the meticulous prep while everyone else is complaining. That's the signal.
That difference in pain tolerance. Got it.
Yeah.
The second question, what makes me lose track of time?
The flow state. That beautiful blend of happiness and peak performance.
Yeah.
It's when a task is just hard enough to keep you totally absorbed, but not so hard that it makes you anxious. If you've ever looked up from writing or coding or painting and realized hours have passed, that's a powerful clue.
For sure. Okay, number 3 forces us to be a bit more objective. Where do I get greater returns than the average person?
This is about momentum. We're wired to compare ourselves. And it's just so much more satisfying to stick with something when you can see you're making faster progress than your peers.
It's that early feedback loop, that little win that makes you want to keep going.
Yes. That objective proof fuels your motivation like nothing else. And then the final question is maybe the hardest one. What comes naturally to me?
Because you have to ignore all the
All
shoulds.
the shoulds, all the societal pressure, all the people pleasing, you have to really look inward and ask, when do I feel the most authentic, the most like myself? It's a tough compass to follow, but it points to true north.
So what happens if you do all that? You explore, you ask the questions, and you still feel like you haven't found a game that's stacked in your favor. Because,
Oh.
I mean, let's be honest, Phelps's body is a lottery win. It's luck.
It is. And for those of us who weren't quite so lucky, that's when you use the advanced tactic. If you can't find a game that favors you, you have to create one.
You win by being different.
This is the Scott Adams strategy, right? The creator of Dilbert.
Yeah, he's so blunt about this.
He is. He says, look, I can draw better than most people, but I'm not a world-class artist. I'm funnier than most people, but I'm not Chris Rock.
Right.
The magic is the combination. Drawing plus joke writing plus a deep background in the absurdities of corporate life.
The skill stack.
The skill stack. By combining those three things, his competition dropped to basically zero. You don't have to be the best in the world at one thing. You can be in the top 25% of two or three things and create a unique intersection where you are number one.
It's like the student who designed their own biomechanics major.
Yes, perfect example. Instead of competing with thousands of pure physics majors, they create a new category where their specific blend of physics, biology, and chemistry makes them the best in the world. Specialization is the key.
So really, the takeaway from all of this isn't that genes are an excuse.
Not at all. Genes don't eliminate hard work. They clarify it.
They tell you where to work hard.
They tell you what opportunities to look for and, just as importantly, what challenges to probably avoid for now. It's about shifting your focus from comparing yourself to others to just fulfilling your own potential.
And until you've worked as hard as the people you admire, you really can't use genes or luck as an excuse for why they succeeded and you didn't.
100%. Most of us stop long before we hit our actual genetic ceiling. It all comes down to the environment you choose. I love this one analogy.
Let's hear it.
Boiling water will soften a potato but harden an egg. You can't control whether you start out as a potato or an egg.
That's your nature. That's fixed.
That's fixed. But you can absolutely decide whether to play a game where it's better to be hard or to be soft. So you have to ask yourself, which environment is going to take what I am right now and transform it into a success?